Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Riding in Cars with Books.
Woohoo!
I'm Jaclyn,
And I'm Phillip.
and today we are discussing Chef's Kiss.
Mwah!
It's co-created by Jarrett Melendez and Danica Brine. And
It's by Oni Press.
yes,
Published by Oni Press.
Oni Press. There's also an exclusive variant cover for this book, but this one is way cuter. The other one's a little more sexy.
Which is really odd because there's not...
It's a romance book, but there's not...
It's not. It's a romance book, but it's not a romance book.
It's so much more than a romance book, which is great. Because he actually liked it.
I did. I actually enjoyed this book immensely.
So our main character is Ben. And then this little stud over here is Watson, the food critic pig.
So basically, Ben is going through a crisis, right? So he just graduated with a bunch of his friends from college. He graduated with a English degree because he wants to be a writer, but he's having a hard time finding a job because everyone wants experience in writing, which you can't get unless you're hired, but you can't get hired
Without
to get experience. And so it's the whole catch-22 thing.
That experience alone was very relatable for me. And I'm sure a lot of people.
Right.
The job market right now is insane, so it's even crazier. So Ben is looking for a job, fresh out of college. Him and his friend just move into an apartment together, and the three of them are either staying in school, which is Rachel,
right,
or Liz and Tom?
Sure.
Tom?
I can never remember his name.
Liz and Tom? Yes, I was right. Liz and Tom have gotten jobs in their fields, and so he kind of feels he's struggling a little bit, okay? Right. And so this whole book, well, the beginning of the book is him applying for jobs, even jobs that he does not want just because he's trying to find a job. He even applies to be a trash collector, and they're like, dude, you need to have experience.
You got to have experience, right, yeah.
And so he stumbles across this restaurant with a sign out front that says help wanted, no experience necessary. So, of course.
This is where the story begins.
So, of course, he goes in, applies for this job at this restaurant, and I love how it was set up because he has to basically intern with each chef, right, over a period of a week. And
right, you have the owner, which is the chef, and then you have three basically sous chefs that he has to intern with each week.
So each week he...
to impress Watson.
Yes, I was getting there. He has to learn from them, make a dish, and then present it to Watson, and if Watson approves, he can move on to the next chef. And so he goes in front of those four chefs? Three?
You have the main chef and then the three sous chefs.
That's what I said.
We said four. It's not four.
The main chef?
He only works with the three.
Oh, never worked with
He only worked, right.
I can't remember.
Yeah, the only thing dealing with the main chef is he never calls Ben by his name. Until he earns it.
Ben, the writer. Ben Cook, the writer.
Ben Cook, the writer.
Okay.
Who's trying to become Ben Cook, the cook.
Ben Cook, the cook. And so his last trial is to create an original dish and present it in front of Watson.
Which all of his dishes he has to present. So Watson determines if he makes it to the next week.
Yeah, I said that.
So he works with one chef, presents it to Watson, and then if Watson doesn't die or lights it.
Sometimes he pretends to die. He's a very good actor.
Yes. The pig is a very good actor.
Yes. The romance part comes in when one of the sous chefs is this very attractive male.
Ian,
yeah.
Name's Ian.
Ian. Let me see if I can find a good panel of the two of them. Where's that cityscape?
Like Ben is a great main character, but I really enjoyed the secondary characters better. Like Rachel, who was one of the roommates, is one of my favorite characters in the book. Just because she. It's great, yeah.
I love that Ben's best friend was a female, and
Liz.
Yes, And then their friendship and roommate dynamics were very interesting because it's a co-ed environment, so it's 2 girls, 2 boys. I really like seeing that represented, like platonic relationships between female and males, so I like that. But like he said, his favorite was Rachel. Or what were your reasons?
Rachel was just, for me, it was just like she was always supportive of everyone. She at one point kind of stood up to her own parents to do what she wanted to do. And so that was just a lot of her always just being there. And then like she really gets into whatever she's working on. Like she was doing a Shakespeare class, so all she did was for like a quarter of the book talk in Shakespearean, basically. So it was just things like that she was just really good at.
Yeah, Tom was very interesting. He had a bong named Vlad the Inhaler, and nobody seemed to care, but he wouldn't stop talking about it, and we thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then Liz is always in the back of Ben's head when he's like trying to get through these interviews and stuff. It was like, picture them naked or as a bee, and he's like, maybe that's not a good idea.
So Liz is basically the level-headed individual of the 4, really. Yeah. So if you take the 4 roommates, like I said, Ben's the main character. Ben and Liz is best friends, but Liz is really, of everyone, she's the most level-headed, and like she can get her feelings hurt a little bit because of how things play out and being level-headed.
But again, the romance isn't like a huge part of the story, but it's there.
Yeah, most of the story is basically Ben going through this, learning to be a chef because he needs a job, but learning what does he really want to do with his life. And it's like, you know, like your parents want you to do one thing, but is it really what you want to do? And then, hey, you're 21 years old, 22 years old. Like, are you supposed to know everything that you're supposed to do in your life at that time? And through this, the answer is like, well, no, you need to find what works for you and not what works for others.
Yeah. And I was just saying last night when he was reading this, I was like, I still don't know what I want to do with my life.
You're 22. All right, sure, yeah.
I'm not. Whatever. Anyways, but his parents do play a big role in this story.
She's older than Taylor Swift.
Anyways, his parents play a big role in the story. They show up out of nowhere, spoiler alert, and they're like, hey, you should do this job. This is what you wanted to go to school for, what we wanted you to go to school for. And you really see like the inner conflict of that, trying to be what your parents want you to be, but also be what you want to be.
Right. So there's a lot of that you can enjoy something, but if someone constantly forces it on you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good growth. I mean, I guess overall, the whole book really only takes place in basically 5 weeks.
Yeah, basically.
But there's a lot of good growth, a lot of good interaction between all the characters. The writing is top notch. Jarrett does a great job. There's like little humor pieces in there that like are just that cracked me. Like I was laughing in a few spots, and Jaclyn's looking at me like, "What are you doing?"
I read this when it first came out, and then when he was reading it, I was like, "Remind me again what part you're on." Like, so it's fresher in his head than it is mine.
Yeah.
But what really stuck out to me was like the friendships, the coming of age, your dreams may change, or either you don't even know what your dreams are.
And it's okay to have other friends outside of your main friend group.
Yes. You can have multiple friend groups.
Because that's a little bit of the conflict between Ben and Liz. Is that with him, Ben starting to be a chef or wanting to be a chef, like he kind of becomes friends with the other chef, and then now your original friends seem to be left out.
And then him and Ian starting that relationship.
Well,
at the end.
Yeah.
But
maybe
there'll be another book.
Like it's a relationship, but it doesn't overpower this story. Like if you don't read, if you have to read the whole book to even get that, right?
Yeah, I think the last page is them kissing. Spoiler alert. But I mean, you know, it's a romance book, so not really spoiling anything. I mean, it's marketed as romance, but it's so much more than that.
Like for me, I don't know if I would consider it like a romance book. Like I get it, but at the same time, I'm like it's such a small part of the book.
That's the whole genre game we were talking about today. There's so few genres that so many books don't fit in just one.
Like it is, like this book is 160 something pages, I believe. And like if you were to take all the romance pieces in this book, literally, it might make up 2 pages.
I don't know if there's page numbers.
There's page numbers.
138.
Okay, so there's 138 pages. I bet you I could take all the panels with romance in it, and it will take up 2 pages.
Well, this is the last page, and then
spoiler alert,
you get bonus materials, which is really cool. You get a recipe, you get some extra artwork and stuff, but you also get a recipe for the dish that he makes, and he's got a little Watson timer. I just love that so much. So this is, I would call it an adult book just because the characters are adults and it's romance, but I didn't really see anything inappropriate for like a younger adult.
No, this is easily a young adult book. There's nothing, I mean, other than the characters being freshly out of college.
So I would maybe consider it new adult. That's kind of like a new category. Sure. New adult, new to the adult world.
I don't know what that means.
These new adults are literally just graduating college and trying to find their place in the world. So I would definitely say it's a new adult book.
But like if you're 15 years old and you're in high school and you want to read this book,
go for it.
Then go for it. Like there's nothing out here that would basically say don't do this.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, obviously Vlad the Inhaler, if you don't want to read about someone smoking a bong, then don't. But
there's no foul language. There's no.
It's just a realistic coming of age book.
Yeah, there's no. Like I guess it might only. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I don't consider it an adult book.
But it's in the adult section of the comic shop. It's not in the YA section because to me, I don't want a 12-year-old maybe picking it up, but there's nothing wrong with this book.
I mean, unless you don't want your 12-year-old to see a bong, a non-used bong at that. Just a guy talking that very happy that he named his bong Vlad the Inhaler.
He worked really hard working that ice cream truck or whatever to get that. He deserves it.
He deserves it. But yeah, like everyone is, like it's a very supportive book. There's strife between friends, but all the characters are great.
Most of the conflict, though, stems within
Ben
himself.
Yes.
So I appreciate that, as Philip keeps saying, the character growth. So we have plenty of copies of this at the store because Jarrett will be joining us for Free Comic Book Day next week. So if you haven't picked up your copy,
May 6th, 2023, in case someone's watching this way beyond that.
So we have plenty of copies in the store. You can come stop by and get it signed. It will also have some art prints and some of the variant cover books to sell and maybe some other goodies. I think he has another book out. He has a cookbook coming out soon, right?
Yeah, he has a Pokemon. It's a Pokemon cookbook, which just comes out in September, I think.
I wish I could find that page of the skyline because that's like my favorite panel.
That was like their first date.
Was it a date?
Date, non-date, which was also a very good conversation.
Yeah, what makes a date?
What makes a date, right?
So. Just keep talking while I try to find this panel.
You may have gone too far.
Maybe.
You've gone way too far. You're back at the beginning when they first.
Oh well, I didn't see it.
It's like after the second.
Before his parents show up.
Yes, it's well before. It's not long before his parents show up. It's after they all go.
Oh no.
Don't worry.
The art is beautiful, and this is one of my favorite panels. Just seeing the serene skyline. It's just a very peaceful place. So this is our first date. Woo. So, again, Chef's Kiss by Oni.
Published by Oni Press.
Yeah, so come check it out. Like our video, subscribe, comment what other books you want us to see. Comment what other books you want to see us read.
Discuss.
I'm having a hard time with these terms. We're in the middle of the woods.
We're somewhere in Chesterfield County, Virginia.
So, like, subscribe, comment, share, all the goodies, please. Support. And we'll see you at Free Comic Book Day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.